welcome to Bitstorm, a comedy game design podcast by two guys who know nothing about comedy nor game design. I'm your regular host, Trevor Scott, and with me is Daniel Ryan.
Hey Trevor, really glad to be here.
Daniel, tell us a little bit about yourself.
I also have a podcast called Game Club. It's a bit like a book club, but we play video games, and that's fortnightly. I'm a big fan of the show, first-time caller, long-time listener.
Well, I've been listening to your podcast a little bit, and I really was enjoying the Papers, Please episode. That's your latest one, isn't it?
That's right. Glory to Astoska.
Yeah, so I thought... Let's have a bit of fun today. Bring another guest host on because, well, I've got time to edit this time. On the couple of weeks that I have had other stuff, I've just had Ben's stuff, but no, I thought it's good time to have some more guests on. So today we're just going to be playing Click Pitch, which for those who haven't listened before, that's a game where I count down 3, 2, 1, click. We both have a random word generator. We click refresh. We get a word, and then we try to come up with a game that doesn't exist, but we want it to. So you ready, Daniel?
I'm ready to play.
Ready to play. Okay, good. 3, 2, 1, click.
Toadstool.
Timber. So I'm thinking it's a lumberjack game, and you're like a tiny little gnome, and so you're in basically like a mushroom forest, and you're cutting down toadstools. Because they aren't as pretty as the mushrooms. So hence the timber, you yell it out to help people.
And so would this game have lots of different types? You mentioned you got to cut down the toadstools, but you got to keep the mushrooms up, right?
Got to keep the mushrooms up.
Okay.
Because, toadstools are poisonous. We'll put it that way. I'm just wondering, okay, what other game mechanics can we have here?
Well, when you're cutting down these toadstools, obviously you got to worry about pollen coming down while you're attempting to cut through it. And the bigger toadstools that are worth more points you're going to take longer to cut them down. And so you're going to have to be more finesse with where you place yourself around this thing. So you're not getting hit by the pollen. If you're this tiny gnome, pollen's actually like a decent size compared to you, maybe.
Yeah, that's actually a pretty cool mechanic. I'm just imagining that, when you line yourself up on this toadstool, you start cutting down on one side and you start noticing the pollen coming down on this side, so you quickly move around to the other side, and you can sort of play strategically like that. You're going around to the different sides just to try and get an even cut.
And like any good game involving war between mushrooms and toadstools, you're going to have lots of different types of toadstools that maybe react differently to when you start cutting into them. Maybe there's a couple of boss ones like the tree in Kirby that blows wind at you and drops apples on you. Maybe there are some toadstools that come alive and sort of take a swing at you as you cut them down and yell timber.
So they're effectively like massive Goombas.
Yeah, I'd say so. Although I think the Goombas were mushrooms, weren't they? And the toadstools were...
so they're close enough to toadstools.
Yeah, toadstools were the good guys.
Oh, yeah, true. Toad. Oh, well, it's opposite. Maybe cutting down toads.
Maybe you can choose a side. In this day and age, we want to see all sides of the story. You want to see the good and the bad. You want to choose which one's good and which one's bad. Maybe you can choose a side, which forest you want to cut, and it's almost like an asymmetrical kind of experience.
Yeah, so maybe in this particular, in the multiplayer version, you've got the Mario versus Koopa. So you got the little gnomes that have got allegiance to both those sides, and basically you're cutting down toads and Goombas.
yeah, that's it. And you're this tiny, not human creature with your trusty axe, I imagine, and toadstools, as you mentioned, are more poisonous ones. So they're going to be themed appropriately. So perhaps just being near them is almost like acid on the ground, or speaking of mushrooms and acid and hallucinogenics, maybe you hit one and it's kind of like those fuzzy things in Super Mario World 2 or Yoshi's Island or whatever, where the screen starts going all weird and you start seeing really bizarre things, and becomes a bit Scarecrow-esque.
Yeah. That's actually kind of a cool mechanic.
What kind of boss monsters would you expect in Timber Toadstool?
Ooh. maybe there can be like guards on the bottom part of these massive mushrooms or toadstools, and so there's like other gnomes down the bottom sort of guarding it, and they maybe have like flamethrowers and a few other things so that you can't get close. So you got to work out how to actually take them out from a distance before you can get in and actually defeat some of this.
Maybe to add to the chopping mechanic, instead of actually just going in, I mean, maybe you can just go in with your axe swinging, but perhaps you can chop down smaller toadstools or mushrooms to land on the guards and sort of inflict damage that way.
Oh, yeah.
So you're trying to move around constantly while also getting points by chopping things down and taking out the guards, which sort of grants you sort of an easier shot at some of the big boy mushrooms.
Yeah, that sounds pretty cool. Do you reckon that the actual type of gameplay is going to be like a third person behind or like a top down sort of thing?
Yeah, I don't know. I guess while we were describing it, I was kind of thinking of a 2D, kind of like Terraria, but that's only because they have mushroom forests as well.
Oh, yeah.
But I think a top down could be really interesting. It's just how the camera would have to be able to see through the top of the mushrooms, or else maybe you're just chopping blind while you're under there.
You don't even know where the stem is or anything else. It's like straight down on top, and it's like, yep, all you can see is like the tops of the mushrooms, and in this particular area, it's really, really thick.
That's right. And it becomes sort of like a twin stick shooter or like a gauntlet, top down gauntlet style game. With your left control stick is move around and your right control stick is where you're swinging the axe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that could be actually quite fun, depending on who actually designs the actual game. Would depend on how well the camera would actually work. I'm thinking if you had sort of like maybe even a Diablo view. That isometric. So you get Blizzard to make it. I reckon they could do an amazing job with it, and they're used to doing multiplayer. And
yeah, I think they've got a really good eye for aesthetic as well. So you'd need a lot of vibrant color to denote the difference between mushrooms and toadstools. Possibly some unlockable skin packs in a crate of some kind would really work here, because I'd want to obviously glitz out my toadstool little helmet. Mining helmet or whatever it is that the little gnome has to wear. Safety first.
Definitely. Okay, I reckon we should click again.
Yeah.
Here we go. 3, 2, 1, click.
All right, what do you got?
Caroling.
Prairie.
How do you spell that?
Prairie. Prairie, like all alone on the prairie? A prairie oyster? I assume it's something to do with the Wild West.
Yeah. Like Little House on the Prairie.
Yeah. No, I have a game club, not a book club.
Yes. It comes from the French word for meadow. So it's basically grassland.
Okay.
Okay, caroling. So I'm picturing, as you said, the Wild West. I'm just picturing now this game where you are part of a little caroling troupe. So you're trying to go around to all the houses and spread the Christmas joy. But it's in the old Wild West where you've got like gunfights going on and that sort of stuff. So maybe, as you're navigating from house to house to sing, you've got to dodge gunfights that are going on. You've got to get out of the way of duels and runaway stagecoaches and all those sort of things. I think that could actually be a bit of fun.
Yeah, I reckon. And now that you're sort of describing that, you're moving your little caroling group forward. I'm thinking of one of those sort of beat 'em ups, like the old Simpsons arcade game or Battletoads. And you've got to move around and sort of dodge around, as you said, the Wild West gunmen who are coming out to have a duel at midday. There'll be a part where you'll be maybe on top of a train that is getting robbed, and so you've got to navigate around, avoid things that get thrown around, all while busting out sweet jams.
Yeah. So I'm also picturing that like you start off with a caroling troupe of like 7 and then they're your lives. So as one dies, well, there goes one life, and you've basically got to make it to the end of this particular area with as many lives available as possible. So if you finish with all 7, you've done an awesome job. If three people die along the way, obviously you lost 3 lives. Yeah,
it'd almost be like a health bar as well, where as you lose people, you lose mass. So as they hit you, one of your little carolers in your group goes half see-through and bounces off in a funny animation from your caroling group, because you got to stick, you got to huddle together, obviously. against the cold of the Wild West.
Well, it could be very cold. I mean, just because it's a desert doesn't mean it gets freezing at night.
Sure. Well, yeah. I mean, you'd have to have daytime levels, nighttime levels, levels out on the prairie, levels in the town, maybe going through there where everyone's drinking rum and playing poker.
Oh, now I'm picturing a level where the houses are so far and few between that, you know, you're dodging wild animals as you're getting to the next level. The next level may actually be, you know, a kilometer away. So you got to sort of sneak through the wilderness, and you see mountain lions and all that sort of stuff that are hunting, and you just got to try and get to the next house to then sing your carols.
Yeah, I think that's brilliant. Or maybe like each house is the end of the level. Like, you're going between, the whole level is just trying to get to the next house, or you know, the midway part of the level is maybe a house, so it's like a checkpoint.
Yep.
And yeah, obviously your goal is always to just get to that next house and bring that Christmas or non-denominational cheer.
It doesn't have to be, like, you don't have to actually say what type of carols they're singing. It's just, you've got a group that happen to be a choir and they're caroling, but it's, you don't actually hear what music they're doing. But I don't know, maybe you could have a rhythm game when you get there and you hear like a non-denominational song that we come up with for the game itself.
Yeah, and if you want to just fly in the face of copyright, you could just have all the greatest game tunes. So one level, you've got to get to the end, and your caroling group is just humming or singing the Super Mario Bros. Theme song the entire way. But I think, yeah, something like this would do really well with even just sort of 8-bit music. That they're singing throughout the whole thing, but then, yeah, as you get to the end, maybe the boss battle is sort of a rhythm game where you've got to really impress the people in the house and bring peace to the area with your carols.
And I'm just picturing that, you know, as the boss battle starts, if you start getting the meter on your side, more and more people from the previous levels actually join in with the choir. You're getting all the positive energy up, so you start turning people to your side, and you start getting, you know, some of the gunslingers that were having the duel, they're off singing in the background, and you see mountain lions come in, and, you know, they're sort of waving side to side. I could just imagine how silly the end would actually look, but also kind of peaceful at the same time.
Yeah, especially if it's made up of all the, as you said, the mountain lions and the gunslingers, things you've had to sort of avoid or dispatch during your path through the level. But then at the end, they all come together because of your bardic tunes and
You've inspired courage.
Exactly. Yeah. I love it.
I had to bring that up. So I do like that idea of it being that 2D Simpsons beat 'em up, just because having sneaking mechanics in that, you know, it's on such a narrow plane that, you know, you can see that the mountain line's just slightly up ahead, and as it sort of turns down, or you can maybe throw out some meat to try and distract the mountain lion so that you can sneak past. But you've only got X number of meat, so you got to, you know, choose when to actually do that. But if you happen to have, you know, one of your carolers die, then maybe you can, you know, search their body and
sacrifice them
meat
to the mountain. Oh my God. What kind of game is this?
It's the Wild West.
Yeah.
It's wild.
That's what
and
they were doing.
game.
Okay. That puts it in a new light.
Yeah, I mean, they've really got to be careful in this type of situation.
Clearly, especially if you're out there. Oh, jeez.
Yeah, I went a little bit macabre, but that's all right.
We're all going to be carolers and work together, and then eat one.
But they got killed, and it wasn't your fault.
Sure.
But
yeah,
you can now use their body to like help you get past the next few mountain lions.
I was thinking maybe enemies drop, you know, once or twice use musical instruments, or maybe, if you get hurt, they drop their instrument. You could pick it up and use it, much like in those beat 'em up games. You could pick up a trash can and throw it. But sure, you could just eat one. That also works.
So are we picturing that there's going to be like an inventory system, kind of like I don't know, a PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds? How there's you can only carry so much, but if you happen to find like a knapsack or something like that, you can actually carry a bit more equipment.
I think it'd be more like maybe one or two items. So. Or maybe it's limited by how many members you still have.
Oh yeah, so like each person can carry like one thing. So you've got the lead guy who's got a guitar, and then you got a couple of people who've got water skins because you're going to need it because it's the Wild West. There's no running water. And then you've got, one or two people carrying meat. But as each person dies, you've got to decide, what are we actually going to continue on with?
Yeah.
So it becomes kind of like one of those survival games that you can only carry one thing. If you've got the guitar, you're gonna finish your caroling and get more positivity into these people, and they may actually come and join you at the end. But if you turn up and you've got no guitars and you're all bloodstained, they may be turned off, and your final battle is actually going to be harder.
Yeah, I like that idea where it's you kind of need to balance up. Oh, do I hang on to this guitar because it's really good in the boss fights where I have to rally everyone to me? However, if I don't have enough water, I'm not going to make it to the boss fight.
Yeah, because I'll get thirsty and then die of dehydration. But
Sure.
as you go, you can maybe find, okay, there's a stream on this level. I know that, but it's a little bit out of the way. It's near a mountain line.
Well, if
enclosure, and it's kind of like, a Metroidvania sort of.
Yeah, I was
sort
thinking
of thing,
if Castlevania's taught me anything, you punch certain blocks and there's chicken in there, and then
yeah, definitely. You punch a couple of trees and bang, you got your chicken.
Loving it.
I really like this game. I think it's a real winner. And who would have thought that caroling could actually be an awesome game? Let's click again. 3, 2, 1, click.
Let's do it.
Cordial.
Shield.
So warm and friendly, strongly felt, or a sweet fruit flavored drink. I'm thinking warm and friendly.
Yeah. So it was cordial, yeah? Was it?
Yep.
Oh,
Cordial.
was it cordial? As in like warm, being
cordial.
a cordial greeting. Okay, I was thinking cordial, like Coddy's friend of the show, I imagine.
Well, it's sponsored. Yeah, I see cordial and I go, yep, that's what it is. But no, cordial.
Cordial, right? Yeah, friendly shield. Okay, that's a little bit different to where my mind was going. I was thinking of creating constructs out of cordial. The sweet tasting cordial.
Do you want to go down your shielding with cordial?
No, look, we'll put that on the back burner. We'll save that one for the fans at home, the fan submissions. The friendly.
Okay, so the fan submissions have got to be cordial, the Coddy's fruit flavored drink, and shield.
That's right. I think this is going to be, and jump in if you've got a different idea, but this is going to be an RPG, sort of like a Witcher kind of game, Witcher or Skyrim sort of RPG. You're just some nobody. Maybe you're sort of a bitter, twisted person, kind of like Geralt, and you come across a super friendly sentient shield who you have to keep with you at all times because it's the magic shield that's prophesized will do whatever. But as you do increasingly more evil things, the shield starts getting tainted by that as well and is no longer as friendly. So you have to decide if you're going to make that kind of balance and trying to do the right thing, but it's harder and the shield will stay friendly. Or, do you just start indiscriminately killing people for the gain, but then your shield becomes really jaded? And he or she, they may not want to stop the ultimate evil anymore. The shield might just be like, why bother?
Yeah. See, you started talking about that, and I'm like, oh my God, you were going extremely close to where my mind has already gone. Because you've listened to The Adventure Zone, right?
Yeah.
The Adventure Zone is an amazing D&D actual play podcast by the McElroy brothers. In there is a character called Magnus, and I was just thinking he's warm, he's friendly, he's got the rustic hospitality. So there's your warm and friendly, and he also quite often is like a shield sort of character. He protects his friends. So just having that sort of thing of the warm and friendly guy that finds this magical shield, and he's got to like protect people, but as he goes through and adventures and attacks people, the idea of it tainting the shield and changing the magical properties, that's just added a whole new level to it. So melding those two ideas together, I think could be kind of cool as well.
Yeah, and I don't want just the sort of, this is the good decision, this is the bad decision. I want some moral grey. I want stuff where you have to make a decision, but you have no idea what the outcome is going to be either way, and you kind of just have to do your best. However, the shield...
Which is really what The Witcher was. You never knew what was actually going to happen. You could go, yeah, I'm making this decision, and then you find out the outcome, and you go, oh god, I shouldn't have made that decision at all. But you got to live by your decision.
Oh, definitely. And I think maybe the shield, kind of blames you or, commiserates occasionally, but sometimes goes, hey, you made that decision. Like, I'm just a shield, and starts becoming, maybe it has that morality meter or whatever, because we love, light side, dark side points, all that kind of thing. Or maybe just the face of the shield itself starts changing.
So it can go either angelic or sort of demonic sort of thing, depending on which way you're sort of heading. And, if you're stuck in the middle, then you just got some normal face, like of some dude.
Yeah, exactly. And like the good, the old Black and White series, where your hand would get more angelic or demonic, depending on the kind of decisions you make. I'm picturing you press the menu button or whatever it is, and your character holds up this, and, touching on Magnus again, he has a mirror shield. So you hold up the mirror shield and it's reflecting your character's face that you spent hours creating in the character creator, but it takes on weird traits depending on where the shield is at.
So, for gameplay, you know what I would really like? An RPG set in like a Banjo-Kazooie sort of world. Mm-hmm. So you've got that sort of cartoony graphics, and you've got the anthropomorphic shield that can, sort of have conversations, and depending on if you're doing more evil things, the conversations become a little bit more, go kill that person.
Yep. So it's got the big cartoon eyes as well.
Yeah, big cartoon eyes, and has that real cartoony look, but the actual, the sort of subject matter that we're getting into and the sort of missions are more Witcher based. So you've got that melding of the pretty cel shaded graphics maybe, or even just good old large levels that are fully 3D, and you've just got that juxtaposition of content versus the look.
Well, and now that you've mentioned Banjo-Kazooie, absolutely, and we know who has to make it. Obviously, Rare need to make it. They've handled similar kind of stuff before with Conker's Bad Fur Day. The kind of there's humor there, and there's obviously pop culture references, but then there's some dark tones as well. They do that Saving Private Ryan beach scene and whatnot, and they add some levity to it. But if you have to maybe make those kind of decisions or be part of those kind of decisions in this game,
and we know that they're willing to go dirty. Conker's Bad Fur Day is just one of the dirtiest games for the N64.
Yeah, absolutely loved it.
It was great having those cutesy graphics with that, but just having it in like an open world sort of situation would be just amazing. I'd like to see Rare's take on an open world with morality and all the rest, and the idea of the anthropomorphic shield as your buddy, that you can unlock new powers as you go as well. Like on the good side, you can maybe do sort of like a cleric turn undead sort of idea. Mm-hmm. But if you're on the other side, you can burn undead or something like that, and you're just raising all hellfire and all that sort of stuff.
So what we're pitching, it seems like a cross between Dante's Inferno and Conker's Bad Fur Day. And I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I'm okay with that too. And just for good measure, you got to have the poop song in it again.
Yeah, poop song take 2. The Great Mighty Poo comes back. Flush back.
God, I love that game.
Yeah.
Okay, let's click again.
Do it.
3, 2, 1. Click.
Torment.
Surfacing.
Ooh, all right.
So I'm just wondering if this is sort of on the lines of the last game. Maybe there's some torment that sort of happened in this character's backstory, and throughout the actions of this character, something starts surfacing that maybe they can't control. I'm just wondering whether it's a supernatural sort of power that they didn't know, but it's fueled by torment.
Yeah, I think definitely like leaning into that supernatural, almost Cthulhu-esque, H.P. Lovecraft, of maybe you're going insane, or maybe you are actually manifesting some kind of power, and the game sort of adapts, and your environments become maybe a little skewed, not quite Silent Hill to begin with, but maybe sort of leaning in that direction where you start seeing just all sorts of crazy things and you've got to navigate your way through some puzzles, perhaps.
Yep, yeah. I'm now sort of picturing like even like the Constantine sort of character who, you know, his wife was taken from him, sort of thing. He was, I believe, if I remember rightly, he was like taken to hell and tortured a bit. So you could have that sort of torment of his past, and knowing that, you know, he's got to go through and do all this stuff to try and save his wife. But the actual, you know, the surfacing is his powers just gradually coming in. But also you got that other angle of, you know, not knowing if you're actually, you know, kind of like, you remember that movie Sucker Punch, where
yeah,
the girls were actually in the asylum the entire time. You could have like some levels that it looks as though, you know, he's in his own personal hell or something like that. Fast forwarding to the end of the game, you find out that it's actually the devil was playing tricks on the character, and he does really have all these powers.
So maybe like a reverse. What's that game where you're a soldier in the Middle East and things start going, like you start seeing things, and
Spec Ops,
The Line, yeah.
That was an awesome game, by the way. If you haven't played it, get out there and play it. It's just, it really hit home.
So maybe like a reverse Spec Ops, where instead of throughout the game you start thinking you're going crazy, but then it pulls a Swifty on you, and spoiler alert, no, the devil is real, and all that shit really was happening to you.
And so when the game starts and you're in your apartment and you kind of maybe doing the Heavy Rain sort of thing of walking around and just, you know, having to use the PlayStation Move controllers to actually do, like, go outside and play with your kids and or something like that. And then you see, like, someone in the window, and you do a double take and you look back and there's no one there. But it's like you start thinking that your neighbor may be a little bit crazy. And turns out that your neighbor is actually the devil.
Yeah, so you'd have license to do all those kind of horror tropes. You know, like the, speaking of Heavy Rain and Indigo Prophecy, or Fahrenheit as it was known, they do that, you know, that classic jump scare where you've got the medicine cabinet open in the bathroom and you close it and, you know, whoa, jump scare, there's some dead guy in there for like a second.
Yep.
But this, you do it the other way around, you make it subtle, like you have, when he walks into the bathroom, the crazy, creepy dead person behind him, but he kind of sees it, but doesn't notice, opens the medicine cabinet, closes it, and they're not there. And you try and make it sort of a twist on the old formula.
Yeah. I think twisting on the audience's ideas as to what they think is actually going on is a good thing, especially because games are such a really untapped medium at the moment. Like, there's so much that you can do with games that you just don't have the luxury of doing with movies or TV shows right now. And to throw all the tropes on their head would actually be really quite interesting.
Yeah, especially because we all think we're very knowledgeable, and of course we are, where we can say, oh, you know, I know, I've watched all the horror movies. So personally, me, I have not, because I'm a coward. I hate horror is very, very scary. But I do know people who love playing horror games and watching horror movies, and they'd see all these tropes, and being able to invert them and subvert expectations, I think could be really powerful in this kind of game.
Yeah, and just when you were expecting a jump scare, nothing happens.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And, you know, even do the sort of the music sting without a jump scare. You know, it's sort of like you've got that, you open the cupboard and the music jumps and there's someone there. You turn around expecting the jump scare to be there, and there's nothing there. And so you're literally like, okay, when's this actually going to happen? Yeah. And it could be like 2-3 seconds later, you hear a noise up outside. And as you then turn around to, you know, you stand up, there's like the jump scare right in front of you, or on the couch or something like that.
Or, yeah, it's not even, like, it's not a jump scare. It's so you walk into the room and you can see the creature or whatever it was that would have scared, you know, that would have jumped out and scared you, is just sitting there like it's all cool.
It's like, hey, dude.
Yeah, exactly. Or you're walking down the street and you see, you know, I'm pulling an idea from an interesting book called John Dies at the End, where he sees a picture of a popular burger establishment and sees their clown mascot, you know, sort of a statue of him. but he's being forced to eat his own intestines. And the longer you look at it, the more twisted that picture looks. So instead of this sort of grimace, it's sort of it's a cry for help almost in his face. So maybe the longer you linger on these...
grimace.
Yeah. Definitely not pun intended, but I'll take it.
I couldn't let it go.
So maybe the point of this game, instead of trying to avoid all these jump scares, is more you almost have to normalize these things by paying attention to them. Or if you pay attention to them longer, they become more twisted. So the crazy demon that's on your couch that didn't jump out at you, he's just sitting there staring into oblivion. You either have to pretend like everything's normal or just sort of stare at it until it becomes really, really twisted and then maybe fades away. So it kind of forces you to confront these bizarre happenings in your world.
Yeah. What I'm now seeing is, kind of like going back to the Quantic Dream idea that there's multiple endings for this sort of game. Mm-hmm. That if you manage to sort of get through the game sort of ignoring all these things, then your character actually believes in this world that it's sort of been constructed around him, and he never actually unlocks those sort of powers that are actually possible. If you lean into the horror and you start focusing on that, then you actually start unlocking the powers for the other part of the game. So there's actually a way of getting through this game without actually ever realizing the full potential of your character, because it turns out that maybe the devil has actually locked you into this personal hell that you think is real life.
I love that, because it can be as you said, like with the different endings, if you go down one path where you just ignore everything, then your character maybe thinks, oh, okay, well, I've maybe just got a mental disorder, or I've got something going on. I need counseling. I need, maybe I need medication, and sort of you handle your life that way, and you're trying to ignore or deal with those problems, or deal with problems in your life that you think are manifesting in this sort of bizarre way. Alternately, you can lean into it and it becomes a fantasy story where you're getting all these crazy powers, and, demons and ghouls and vampires or whatever are showing up in your living room or over your fence and trying to spook you. But you have to just lean into it and go like, no, I'm going to confront you, and yes, I am a demigod.
Yeah. There's the possibilities are almost endless with it. Like, you either lean into the mundane, like the start of Heavy Rain, or you lean into the craziness of the game, and as you go, it turns into a different sort of genre of game. It's no longer that sort of walk around and do things. It's more walk around, and now you're actually getting the chance to go up against like enemies and like, well, maybe even like a adventure game sort of thing where you're solving supernatural puzzles.
Oh, absolutely. I love it.
Yep.
Sign me up.
Yep, same here. 3 to 1 click. Like our internet tonight, unreliability.
Oh, I have observatory.
Ooh. So what do you reckon about a game where you play an astronomer in a like observatory, but it turns out that the machines in there are really unreliable, and they keep on making false claims that there's an asteroid coming to Earth.
Okay, so do you reckon you have to maintain this machine and try and repair it so that it becomes more reliable, or maybe upgrade it? Or do you think again it's sort of like almost like a quantum observatory where sometimes you look at a thing and it's just Jupiter there, it's no big deal, and then like you go and look again and it's asteroids on its way?
Yeah, I'm thinking going in the way of you've got to repair bits and pieces. They're just the parts that you've been getting are from like a really, really cheap factory, so they're all very unreliable. So like it's a relatively automated system. Maybe you don't play the astronomer, maybe you play like the engineer that has to like fix the gears on this thing, and these other astronomers are basically, telling you, oh, this part's broken now, can you go fix this thing's so unreliable.
Oh yeah, so it's almost like remember those old Flash games where you were a bartender and you had to like throw the beers down the track at people getting close? So this one's kind of like that. There's this rundown observatory, and you're getting these ticket requests that are like, oh, we need a new gear spring. Oh, we need a new thing, or this part's broken. I'm not going to tell you what's wrong, but you have to figure out what's going to repair it. And so you have to go scrounge up materials, maybe in some abandoned warehouse or something, as you said, like very unreliable pieces, and sort of give them to sort of tide them over for now, even though, another thing's going to break sometime soon. And that's, the difficulty starts ramping up as these faults keep happening, and maybe it becomes just untenable after a while.
Yeah. I quite like the idea, you got the Five Nights at Freddy's sort of idea of maybe there's a couple of different locations that you can get these parts from.
Yeah.
And you've got to sort of remember what was actually happening there, and sort of not bring in the horror elements of it, but more, okay, I saw a spring over in this area. So you've got to then travel to that location, get the spring, and travel back to the location that the ticket said that the spring had to go in. And maybe there's some levels where they go, okay, we need this particular type of screw, but that screw happens to be in some other thing, and you got to like unscrew it from there and use this screw in the telescope or whatever you're trying to fix. So it's sort of like one of those memory games where as you're doing each thing, you'll actually be able to take note of where you saw this X type of screw or X type of panel that could be hidden in one of these boxes in one of the rooms.
Yeah, I like that idea, especially if at the start of each level you're going to have maybe 30 seconds or a minute of time where nothing's broken yet. And so it's a matter of, okay, I'm going to run around this level and sort of work out its maze-like structure and kind of work out where some important things are. Maybe you can grab one or two pieces of gear and kind of put them in a central location in that time so that you're sort of ready to go.
Yeah.
And you might go, okay, I'm going to grab these because I know, because I've been playing so much that, screws are super important. They always break. Springs always break too. I'll grab a couple of them, put them in the middle because you can't carry too much at once.
But you can create your little pile of stuff.
Yeah.
But you could even have a automated Roomba that sort of goes around and picks up goes around and tries clearing out the area that goes by every 15 minutes or so. So you got to be careful as to where you put it, because this automated robot comes by and cleans up some of the mess if you haven't hidden it in a good place or protected it in such a way.
Well, I like the idea of the Roomba almost as like a pet in Torchlight 2 or something, where you could send it out to go Roomba some stuff and it will go and bring it back, but it's quite slow. And once it picks it up, you can't get access to it until it brings it back. Okay,
so it's one of those things where, okay, I've undone all these screws. I've grabbed these 4 screws here. I'll take them back, but I'll send the Roomba out to go get the other 27 that I did.
Yeah.
So you send it out and it comes back over time, and you hope in that time you haven't actually run out of these 4 screws because you literally took everything out of there.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and maybe it can hold 10 or 15 or 20, and so it'll do 1 or 2 trips. And if you can get there before it, I've got a screw emergency, I need to run there and get them before the Roomba does. But if you've already set it up and it's grabbed them and it's on its way back, it's too late. It's on its automated path. You have to wait till it drops it off back in your little central mechanics shop or whatever.
Yep. So, okay, just like Five Nights at Freddy's, you've got the secret 6th or 7th night, and your friend, the Roomba, literally breaks down halfway through. It's 3rd trip or something like that. And it's just happens to be scripted that way. And you've got to destroy your only friend.
Oh,
just
no.
to really, just to really put home. You remember in Portal how you had to kill the companion cube?
What?
You got to kill your companion Roomba.
I think that'd be brilliant, especially if you are able
Little do you know that you can just repair it again. But
yeah, I think though you should be able to, throughout all those nights, if maybe you save a little bit of scrap, you can give it little upgrades so it moves a little bit faster, maybe carries a little bit more, and it becomes your friend, right? Or it's a partner with you. You rely on it.
Yeah.
And then in the last mission, it's, the Roomba is evil or whatever. and you have to maybe, it's gone crazy. It's the one that's been destroying all these observatories. And you need to take him out.
That's actually kind of a cool idea. Turns out that the unreliability as you start going, maybe you find in like some boxes, you open up a box and it's got like, there's like a hastily written note inside from like the previous guy saying something's going on. Like it's getting worse and worse each night. All these machines keep breaking down, but there's no way that, this many springs or something could be snapping. There's got to be something that's actually causing this. Talking about how, their only friend, the Roomba, they sent him out and it took the Roomba a lot longer to get back. Than what it really should have.
Yeah, and maybe sometimes like it'll bring back a screw.
Yeah, I kind of like that idea of the Roomba actually being the almost sort of sentient, and it's literally trying to keep you in a job.
Yeah,
by doing all this and keep you busy and keep its friend. But if you don't happen to fix this machine, the scientists could actually miss like an asteroid that is literally coming to destroy Earth. So it's like, it's that sort of time pressure of we need to be able to, they managed to see it. There's time pressure of being able to actually fix this problem so that they can actually get the right coordinates so that they can send the Armageddon team up to destroy the asteroid. But if the machine doesn't get fixed within enough time, then the whole world is doomed.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And that's sort of like that fail state on each night. If, you need to make sure the observatory is running and maybe it can't go offline, either can't go offline at all and, pieces are starting to fail, or it can't be offline for more than, a minute or 2 minutes or something. So when it, if a piece does fail, that's when the timer starts and is like, you've got to get that screw or that spring in the right spot and get it done.
Yeah.
Get over there and do it. Or else it's going to be game over and we all blow up from an asteroid because somehow just, the observatory is looking at them, keep them away.
Yeah. So I'm picturing the ticketing system. It has to be like an old dot matrix printer.
Oh yeah.
One of the things that happens on one of the nights is the dot matrix printer actually goes on the fritz. So you can't actually get any tickets out until you fix the printer, and then you find out how many tickets you've actually got to actually fix. So you're adding that extra little bit of hassle to try and get through this particular mission.
Yeah, I love that, and I love the idea of that on one night as an added bit of complexity. Maybe your buddy Roomby, who you've been using and upgrading, occasionally he brings back an item, or he picks up an item or like 10 items, but only ends up bringing back 8, and 2 of them are too badly damaged to use.
Oh,
and either you can try and spend more resources to repair Roomby and kind of prevent that from happening or reduce the chance of that happening, but it's also foreshadowing for when Roomby turns evil.
Maybe you're trying to leave the job or something like that, and Roomba isn't very happy about that, so you hear the door sort of lock and you turn around and there's like this Roomba halfway up the wall that's just like close the thing over and it's like, oh my god.
And then you realize like in this whole facility everything was ramps, there was no stairs, nowhere is safe.
I'm now imagining you know how in all those horror movies there's this trope where pretty much you see like flashbacks as once you realize who the killer is, you see flashbacks of the killer doing all these things and how they got away with it.
Yeah.
So you just keep on seeing these little Roomba things of like it's slowly going up and slowly chasing like an astronomer. Like the astronomer's just walking away very calmly and just imagining these really funny little things where you think that, oh, this astronomer's going to die here, and it turns out that it's just like an accident that occurred.
Yeah, like the astronomer, like the Roomby bumps into his foot and like the Roomby kind of the astronomer sprains his ankle maybe, or looks away for like a second when an asteroid goes past. Like somehow this Roomba knows where the asteroids
are. Yeah, I love this idea. Yet again, another one that I'll sign up for.
Yeah.
Who do you reckon have to make it?
I don't know, but it's got to, as you said, like that whole Armageddon thing. It's got to play don't want to close my eyes, like that song's got to play.
It's just playing on the radio or some stage.
Yeah.
Maybe MIDI version of it.
That's right. Or maybe during the flashbacks where you're seeing Rumbi do all those things, it's don't wanna fall asleep 'cause I miss you, Rumbi.
So I'm now imagining, like, at the start of each shift, you're going down in an elevator and you're hearing different elevator music. And on one of the nights, it's just like the lounge version of Don't Want to Close My Eyes, just in, the sort of like the lady from Ipanema, do 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 do.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And
you got that going in the elevator on the way down.
Exactly. It's got to have that bit, sort of like in Papers, Please. As you mentioned, I played that recently, and we've been talking about Five Nights at Freddy's, where it's got to have the newspaper between each day. So,
oh yeah, definitely.
So maybe, the astronauts did get sent up to the asteroid, and it's your job to make sure that they can see them at all times with the observatory. On the fifth day or something, it's playing that song.
Oh, I love it. I absolutely love it. I kind of want an all Aerosmith music in the elevator.
Yeah.
Because I kind of want to hear Love in an Elevator.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But then occasionally, one day, and just in the final point, one day that maybe on the last day, on the sixth day, the extra day when shit's got real, the speaker in the elevator's broken, and that's how you know, like, oh shit, something's really gone wrong. We're beyond the pale now.
Oh god, Rumbi's got a gun. Okay, that'll do. 3, 2, 1, click. Antenna.
Overhaul.
Ooh. Okay, so this is a game where you play a typical handyman who works for Mr. Antenna, and recently there's been an overhaul of the antenna technology. So you've got to go up to these people, go through some like typical like dialogue tree sort of things to try and convince them to install the new antenna.
So what you're telling me is you want to create a game about the Australian NBN. You want to have dialogue trees where you're trying to convince people to either get a new antenna or fiber to the prem or fiber to the node or HFC.
Pretty much.
Look, I'm on board.
But I'm thinking, kind of like a lot of our games tonight, there's like an ulterior motive going on behind the scenes that effectively, you're going in and the first couple of houses, you're telling them, okay, we can go into your house and install this brand new antenna, and for free we'll give you like this awesome internet package that comes just through your antenna, and is of no charge to you. You'll get better picture on your TV. You get free internet. So everyone's sort of going for it. But as you're actually installing these things, you start noticing, like, I'm thinking, this is using alien technology, and like it's just a big conspiracy that you start getting involved in, that you start almost not wanting to hit your quota each day, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, and I think it's definitely got to have that quota system each day where you're under the pump. You got to try and get as many people converted onto an antenna as this new Mr. Antenna system as quickly as possible.
Yep.
But also, you've got to try and upsell them, right? You got to upsell, cross-sell, downsell, all the sellings. And so that first part of each session is, dialogue tree after dialogue tree, maybe even with some LA Noire level interrogation. Where
you did it, didn't you?
Well,
I'm sorry.
Yeah. You downloaded Game of Thrones, didn't you? Get our antenna. And you've got to try and put the hard sell, but based on their facial, how they're reacting, you maybe have to lay off the gas a little bit and just take the deal that they've agreed to. But if you think maybe they're still on, if you're still doing really well with your dialogue choices, they'll seem really relaxed and open to the idea of being sold more, perhaps.
So in each of the houses, I'm just imagining sort of like in this neighborhood. There's an old DOS game that was a movie tie-in. It was a movie tie-in for the movie Arachnophobia.
Okay.
Now, what happened in the game was, as you went through, you played the exterminator, and you had to go into each of the houses trying to find the big nest.
Yep.
And So it was like a side-scrolly sort of thing once you got into each of the houses. So with the actual installation of the antenna, I'm thinking it goes into like a cutaway view of the house, and you've got to sort of lay the cable all the way up, to this antenna on the roof and work out how to actually set it up in there. But as you go on, this alien technology, maybe it's actually been brought in so that these aliens can actually convert the families into their own kind.
So we're talking like a Batman Forever situation with the Edward Nygma
Batman
thing.
Forever, except with aliens, and it turns out that the president of the company was taken over by aliens quite a while ago and has designed this idea with the help of his other alien friends.
I like that because you're trying to convince them that they need better packages and more stuff and like better things.
But if they get the better package, then they're actually converted a lot quicker. And as you go back, to try and find out whether they're happy with their package, they've got sort of like blank looks on their face, and they go, "Yes, we are very happy."
And your reward, obviously, you get a better reward or a better score or more money or whatever from signing them up to bigger packages. But the wiring becomes so much more complex. So the wiring part of it, you're kind of setting yourself up for more difficulty by bargaining better.
So in the second half of the game that you weren't expecting at all, where you've got to destroy all the work that you've done, and that will actually stop this mind control. That's where you're literally going through this neighborhood just trying to. You can't just cut the cable because it's like a self-repairing cable. It's like this weird alien technology. You've actually got to get in there and destroy these critical points that you thought were just nodes in there just to help with like
signal
almost
boosting
repeaters.
Yeah.
Signal boosting and that sort of stuff. I know. I reckon this could be really quite cool. And if you actually kill the people that are in the house, then you're trying to keep as much life as possible, but sometimes you're going to have to actually make that moral choice between, okay, the only way that I can stop this particular antenna from taking over this whole family is by killing this 5-year-old kid who's the final boss in this particular room.
What would Roomby think? What would the Cordial Shield think of that kind of behavior, Trevor? I don't think he'd want to hear you speak like that.
It's been a very moral choice sort of thing tonight, hasn't it?
Yes.
But
I'm loving it.
I really like this conspiracy of
big,
this alien takeover
of big antenna
that you're literally part of, and then you're trying to take it down from the inside.
Well, of course, the
all
aliens
the while trying to keep your quota up.
Yeah, exactly. And of course, the aliens are going to have big antenna on their heads, like maybe some kind of insect aliens, just to really drive that home. Because of course, the giant antenna aliens had to create an antenna company called Mr. Antenna, but the twist is when you go starting to smoosh bugs, you become the superhero Mr. Antenna that we all know and love.
Yep. And just because it's like a play on the word antenna, maybe it's Aunt Emma that you're actually working for, and you say it quick and it's like antenna. Oh my god!
Yeah. But it turns out Aunt Emma is actually 1,000 ants in a trench coat. Or 1,000,000. I'm not really sure how big ants would have to be.
And the whole time there was just sort of buzzing.
That's right.
It wasn't really hidden.
They were just wearing this like Carmen Sandiego-esque trench coat, giving you
they're not just
your
in a
orders.
trench coat, but they're actually in like a skin suit.
Yes.
So, like at the end of each day, you go in front of Aunt Emma, and if you look kind of closely, you actually see like sort of rippling things under the skin, and it's all the ants sort of moving in underneath, and it's like it gets worse and worse and worse as it goes on. But obviously, you got to try and keep your ant overlords happy,
and that's why we need the L.A. Noire level of facial animation, because not only do you need it to convince these people to get better packages, you realize straight off the bat that Aunt Emma, the antenna lady, has no facial expression at all to begin with. And then, the movements become super robotic in comparison. It's like, oh, did they code this incorrectly? Or, oh no, it's actually part of the plot.
It's the facial animation from you get the same facial animation supervisor from Mass Effect Andromeda. It turns out that it's all part of the plot.
It's part of the game. So, all these reviews going like, oh, they did really well in this area, but the scenes where you go back and speak to your boss are just really terribly animated. And then you can tell who actually finished the game. And
they get to the end and they go, oh my god, it was the best use of this particular person.
Exactly.
They actually had a story reason for it. Okay, I reckon we've got time for just one more.
All right.
If you're okay.
Yeah,
with
yeah.
That. Okay, 3, 2, 1, click.
Cornmeal.
Morphine.
Oh my god. Okay, I think like every game we've done this tonight has a really sort of dark, very cartoony and light in places, but they've all had these sort of dark grey moral questions. And I'm just reading up on what cornmeal is. It's kind of like
polenta.
Wheat, but not.
Yeah, we've had this word before. It's polenta.
Oh, hey, polenta. That's a fun. Morphine doesn't sound as fun. Like it's not as fun and lighthearted.
No, not quite. Okay. Game. So you're a polenta salesman, and you've just got this amazing shipment of like polenta that came in. It's a little bit unusual coloured. You're not used to seeing like you see like bits of spots of black through it, but you think, oh no, it could just be this particular version that you've got, and you've sent it out into the world, and you sold it to all the restaurants and all that sort of stuff. But it turns out that what they were these special poppy seeds that are basically opium. So you've effectively turned all these unsuspecting people into morphine addicts.
I wanted to put a spin on this because I don't want to go out on a dark and dreary one.
Oh no, I was thinking of like how can we make this a little bit happier?
I was thinking by addicting people to morphine. I was thinking maybe you are a hero like Mario, but instead of mushrooms and stuff, you're a celiac hero, and so you can't eat wheat, but you can eat cornmeal and you can eat polenta, and that's where you derive your strength from this gluten-free diet that you have. And so when you get this polenta, it's like a drug, and it's sort of, you kind of go Superstar Mario. And exactly, but gluten-free. And then, because Super Mario, obviously gluten-laden, and you get all these amazing powers, like you can shrug off damage. You're essentially immortal. Maybe you're stronger. Sort of all the effects. So those good effects that video games put morphine on, right? Like painkillers. You can usually take more damage and whatnot.
So you're using it as it's a painkiller.
Yeah.
So it makes him super strong. So it's not an official use of morphine. It's not like it's going to be addictive or anything like that.
No.
It's just morphine gives you painkillers. Okay, yep. So we can do this. So is it actually like an educational game saying, if you don't eat gluten, you're actually
superpowered.
You can be super strong, or is it more? Okay, it just happens to be that in this case, he's kind of like a Popeye-like character who, instead of spinach, he eats cornmeal.
Well, I'm thinking maybe you have the full range, right? It's kind of like Super Mario Bros. 2, where you could choose Mario, Luigi, Peach, or Toad. And one of the characters is a celiac, one of them is a vegan, and one of them is diabetic, one of them is allergic to nuts. And they have this sort of, you've got this team you can choose from, and depending on which one you choose to try and beat this level, I'm imagining a platformer, but I'm open to ideas on this one. You have different abilities, and the power-ups or the food you come across either help or hinder you. So if you're a celiac, any sort of flour related stuff, wheat related stuff will actually power you down. But
So really, you don't want to be the celiac in like the bakery.
Exactly. Yeah. In the bread level.
In the bread level.
Yeah.
So do you know before going into the level that that's the sort of level that you're going to go into, or is it one of these things that you choose someone and it just happens to be, okay, this is the bakery level, you've chosen the wrong person, so good luck, this is like super hard mode?
I think maybe there'd just be the levels would be in the same order, kind of like a Super Mario Brothers game, but you know, on your second playthrough, or if you die and you lose one of your mans and you have to go back and start the level again, then it's like, oh, okay, well, maybe I'll try this hero because, the vegan can go into lotus position and float over pits, right? If they've had their veggie juice. Whereas the celiac, if they have their cornmeal and non-wheat related flour, if they have their polenta or couscous, then they become super strong and they can just plow through enemies. So it's tossing up like what kind of abilities do you think will be useful in the level, and all of them are pretty balanced.
So I'm imagining, and this is a mechanic again from an old game. I keep on going back to old games at the moment. Did you ever play the game Nightmare on Elm Street for the PC?
No, but I think I've heard a fair bit about it. Is it like an old 80s game or something?
There was a Dream Warriors game in which you, at the very start of the game, you picked like one or two characters or something like that. Mm-hmm. And the rest of the characters were actually hidden throughout the level, throughout the entire game.
Oh.
So that in this game, if I'm imagining you're a person, or you've got your selection of characters, but if one of them dies in one of the levels, they get captured and taken to like a hidden area in like one of the levels. So how you get your life back is actually by searching around in these levels to try and find your missing character. So if say it's the bakery level and you've lost your vegan,
mm-hmm.
so you send in, I don't know, the diabetic, and they happen to get through the level without finding that person, well, you no longer have that person for the rest of the game, sort of thing.
So yeah, there's a couple of spots it could hide them and that'll be random, but there's a fridge in that level that they are trapped in that you have to bust open.
Yeah, or there's like a sub basement that mm-hmm. by turning something on, the second part of this warehouse, you can like turn this valve and it'll open, stairs leading down, and then you got to beat the guards down there or something like that.
Yeah, it activates the bakery ovens, and that opens up a certain door. But in doing so, you've activated the conveyor belts and stuff, and so the platforming becomes a bit harder to get into that area to rescue the person.
So it also brings up the idea of, again, having like a Metroidvania sort of thing for each level, that, you can actually go slightly different paths to get to different areas in these levels, so that you can actually, follow this sort of unusual 2D platformer maze that, you can change effectively your perspective. You're going down this hallway, but then the whole camera can flip over into another 2D level, basically. So you're only ever in 2D, but you can search back passages and that sort of stuff to try and get through these levels.
I like that. I like that idea of the sort of Metroid style, but have it where you start off with maybe just one character and you have to go unlock them, kind of like you would unlock new weapons in Metroid, and then doing so gives you access to new areas. So you'd have to like go backtrack.
Yep.
And it's like, oh, okay, now I've got the paleo diet person, so they're going to knock this thing out for me with whatever paleo is. I'm not really sure, but I've got the person that only ever orders meat lovers pizzas, like they only eat meat.
So in other words, you've just found me.
Yeah, exactly. And they've and they can do certain things that the vegan can't, and we all have to work. You'll have to work together to get through these different kind of puzzles and these different blocks.
And I think what's great about having it that whatever characters you've got available then, because you could do it like kind of like a, you know how Dead Rising had all these different characters and you can't necessarily save them all.
Yeah.
So as you go through, you know, you can get to a certain level in a certain part of the game, and it's like, I didn't get to this part quick enough. This person is no longer available. They you know, maybe not perished, but they're no longer in this location for you to meet.
Yeah.
So you happen to miss out on them. And then maybe like the Dead Rising idea that you can actually restart at any time and actually bring your current level, you know, how much you've leveled your character up.
Yeah.
And keep it going. I don't think that gets used enough. That was a really cool mechanic, I thought.
You could sort of reset the game, but keep your... I mean, it's kind of like a New Game Plus, but even without having to beat the game.
Yeah. So it's like, I remember in Dead Rising 1, I think, you know, I played that first little boss battle thing so many times because I'd sort of get to that part, beat that first boss battle, go back to the start, play it again, just trying to get my level up a bit so I could actually, you know, get through the next part, because the next boss in that central area was just a complete and utter bitch. So the idea of having that idea, and also having, you know, these characters that you're not necessarily going to be able to meet, but if you do meet, then you're opening up other parts of the levels for yourself, but just in a 2D way of thinking.
Yeah, and I like that idea you mentioned before, whereas if you lose one of those and then you have to sort of start that area again from a checkpoint with a new character, or with one of the other characters you've unlocked, but you can go and try and find and rescue the person you lost because they got captured and put in a fridge or a pantry or something in an area.
I mean, you could literally have it that you've got your celiac that you don't want to send into the bakery level, so you send your paleo guy, he gets captured. You send your Meat Lovers pizza guy, he gets captured, and all you've got left is your celiac guy. So now you've sort of going, okay, I need to get through, and your energy's getting sapped, and you know, you've got to sort of work even harder to get to save one of these characters, and you save this character and you can quickly switch to this other character, and then they can you know, get through the level for you.
Yeah. I think that'd be really good. So you can either go, all right, I'm going to push on and try and just get through this area, maybe do some stuff, or maybe I'm going to backtrack a bit and see if I can find, maybe they've been captured and put in a spot I've already been in, or a spot behind me that I haven't fully explored yet, and see if I can sort of get one of them back, and maybe I'll have a better chance with that one.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I think that'll do us for today.
Excellent.
We've gone a little bit further over than what I really wanted to, but that's okay. We had a lot of fun.
Yeah, I had a great time.
I'd like to thank everyone for joining us here today on Bitstorm. If you want to check us out on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, we're Bitstormcast on all those. If you can check out iTunes, where you can rate, review, give us some of those ratings and reviews, it'll help us quite a bit. And then also subscribe to us while you're there. Help us get some of our early week listens going. Check out our website, bitstormcast.com. I'd like to thank Kuridas for the song Mount Defiance off of the album Containment Failure. Very, very, very much like to thank Zencastr, Zencastr, for helping us do our recording today. There was a little bit of an audio mix-up at the start, and I started recording on the wrong mic. So thank you very much, Zencastr, for doing that awesome recording that you do and uploading it straight to my Dropbox. So check out Zencastr. I'd like to thank like you to all check out the Australasian Gaming Podcast Network. We're both members of that awesome network. Mm-hmm. And I've got to say, it's a real fun network to be involved in. What do you reckon?
Yeah, even if you don't have a podcast, it's kind of cool to just jump in there and see what everyone's chatting about. Everyone's super friendly. And I think there's usually sort of an Overwatch tournament every Friday, isn't there?
It sort of changes between different games. So
it's good people.
My regular co-host, Ben, he's been working on this amazing website for quite a long time, and it's podchaser.com. You can check it out with the beta key Bitstorm. Or do you happen to have a beta key there as well, Daniel?
Yeah, so you can use the beta key Game Club and show that you like me more than Trevor and Ben.
Yep, go ahead and rate us all 5 stars, and you know, maybe rate Game Club as 4 stars. Nah, just kidding. Rate us both 5 stars, because you know what? Every rating on Podchaser will help us get up those trending lists. And if we get up the trending list, then we'll get more people listening, and then we'll get some more content out maybe. So, how can everyone check you guys out on Game Club and yourself, Daniel?
Yeah, so you can follow me on Twitter at NFGDan. We've got a website, nonfictiongaming.com, or if you don't want to type all that, it's nfglive.com. There's links there to the podcast, show notes, interviews we've done, articles, news, all that good stuff. I trust that if you're listening to the podcast, Bitstorm, you're a pretty savvy person. So you probably know how the internet and podcast work. So I'm sure you'll be able to find Game Club either through those links or by searching iTunes. And there's it's got my photo and my co-host photo in there. So you should be able to see us there.
Yeah. And definitely check out the Papers, Please episode. That was quite a good episode. And
thank you.
And even though you don't mention me by name, you do mention that we were playing a little bit of D&D, and that was a lot of fun.
That's right. And this week we're recording, we'll be recording this weekend. We're playing Dream Daddy, a dad dating simulator by the Game Grumps guys.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard lots of good things about that.
That's it. So, looking forward to it.
I'd like to once again thank everyone for joining us here on Bitstorm. I've been Trevor Scott.
I've been Dan Ryan.
A game where you got to play an engineer who's fixing all these mysterious breakings down of the equipment.
Unreliable Observatory. Get on it.